Hello and welcome along to what is the last episode of the series of On the Bench Extra. Joining me, of course, is Tom Hardy. Who else? We're going to be looking at Hull City's relegation, and we're going to review Scunthorpe and Grimsby's season as a whole as well, and we review and reveal some predictions we made back in November. Hardy, we'll make a start. We'll crack on with Hull City. Now, just before I ask you this question, they're losing £50 million from being relegated, £65 million in TV revenue. How big is this relegation for Hull City?
Absolutely huge. You know, they've sums of money for a team that were in the Premier League. They're used to getting those TV rights. Absolutely massive. So they're going to have to contend with that and the possibility of losing a lot of players who are supposedly Premier League quality as well. So that's going to be difficult for them.
Supposedly, I like how you said that there. So that's the financial, obviously, implications. It is a huge loss for any club. Now, off the pitch as well. Now, Mr. Alam wants to sell the club. He wants to rename the club. You know, is this going to affect what he wants to do with the club as well?
Well, not just what he wants to do. I think it's affected Hull in the past season, although it doesn't directly impact on the players and everything. You know, their performances haven't been good enough, unfortunately. But it's there. The players know that this sort of thing is happening. There was uncertainty around the club, so they didn't actually know what was going to be happening. So the things with Alam and obviously what his decision was going to be, I think had a slight impact on Hull's season. As for the future, we don't know. We don't know what he's going to do yet. So
now, Greg's been at it again. He's been going mad all week. Clubs that get relegated and bounce straight back up. There are a number of clubs that have done that. In the more recent seasons, Norwich and Queen's Park Rangers are examples of that. They've gone down, they've come straight back up. And further back, you've got Sunderland and Birmingham City. Can Hull City do that? Is that realistic? Because on these stats, clubs can do it.
I think it will depend on whether the chairman backs the club with enough money and doesn't pull a lot of the money out. As you'd already said, the statistics are the money that they're not going to be getting from TV rights in the Premier League and all those sorts of things. That is going to have an impact. They need their chairman, they need the people higher up at the club to actually back them and say, you know, here's this money, we want to go straight back up into the Premier League. We've seen teams also that have gone down and gone down again because there hasn't been the right structure, there hasn't been the right stability at the club. So Hull fans need to know that Alam or whoever it is going to pump some money in to try and get them back up into the Premier League.
So that's the financial and the ownership of the club. Now on the pitch, we said it shouldn't affect the players' relegation, but let's face it will. Obviously, Livermore's out of contention now for I don't know how long. Some other big players might leave. Hernandez has been linked with certain clubs. Wages are going to be sliced. Will players be wanting to leave Hull City Football Club?
There will, yeah, and I think there will be a lot of changes over the summer. Hernandez, as you mentioned, he's been linked with a move back to Italy. He's not really hit it, unfortunately, while he's been at Hull. He's not been as good as I certainly thought he'd be. I think Michael Dawson has said that he wants to stay, he wants to fight to get Hull back in the Premier League. That's a massive positive for me, because I think over the season his performances have been half decent. As for other players that are around him, you don't know. I mean, will Ndoye stay? He's one of them, you think, possibly. Huddleston, might he leave? So there's a couple of big names that might go.
Now, obviously, Bruce got Hull promoted, obviously, the last time out. Is he the right man to do that again?
That's a tricky one, because I think he's a good manager. I do think he's a decent manager. It's whether you do stick with him after getting a team relegated, who I personally don't think should have been anywhere near it. So I would stick with Bruce for a couple of months, see how he's doing, and then reevaluate.
Thank you, Hardy. We'll move on. We'll look at the latest one result this week. As we've been discussing then, Hull were relegated after failing to get the win they required as they drew 0-0 at home to Manchester United. Newcastle stayed up at their expense as they were 2-0 winners over West Ham. Now, we've spoken about relegation, the prospect of relegation, what it means for the club, but let's look at this result really, Hardy. Not on face value as such. Let's start with face value then. The 0-0 result, that performance from Hull wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad at all. They had, as we were discussing before the show, they had a couple of goals disallowed. Manchester United didn't exactly look at the races. They looked as if to say, season's over, we're on our jollies already. So I think for Hull, it was a decent performance. It was just a shame they couldn't get that goal. I know it wouldn't have mattered anyway because Newcastle got the win, but it'd have been nice for them to go out, showing a bit of team spirit and a bit of sort of like, we really want to do this. I didn't expect them to get a win against Manchester United, but when you look at how United played and the situation they were in, it'd have been nice to get the 3 points.
I think Hull have struggled this season to score the goals. I think the defensive record isn't too bad. They've not been battered by anyone. I think they struggled to score goals, and that was evident. I mean, there were offside goals. Manchester United didn't look at the races, as you said. Over the season then, at the course of the season, which is obviously what relegated Hull, what were standout moments for you in obviously being relegated?
Oh, well, as you've just said, the scoring of goals, the amount of chances that you've seen Hull miss, especially before Ndoye came, that was a massive factor, I think. And that is such a big thing. If you want to stay up, you've got to have a player that's scoring your goals. And unfortunately, they didn't. Even the teams that have gone down with them, you've got Austin was scoring a lot of goals. You had Ings that was scoring quite a lot of goals. Hull didn't have that. They didn't have a consistent player that was doing that.
Have injuries played a part in this as well? And obviously, loans not.
Oh, massively. Massive injuries have played a massive part. I mean, Diame as a player has been, in and out because of injuries. You had Robertson get injured, and after his injury, he's not quite been the same player. They were two key players for Hull this season, and they've been injured, and I think that has had a detrimental effect on their season as well.
I was going to ask you as well, Hardy, the three teams that have gone down, Burnley, QPR and Hull City, can you see any of these bouncing back? Who's in the best position to return to the Premier League?
I think Hull. I think with the squad that they've got, I mean, as we've said already, it depends who they retain over the summer. QPR, I don't think they're a stable club. I don't think there's any stability there with the chairman and everything that's gone on. It just seems crazy, their club. Burnley, I don't think have quite got the quality, although they've got the team spirit and clearly a very good manager. I think Hull are the best set to make a straight return to the Premier League, so fingers crossed they can. Do
you think that'll be via the playoffs or automatic promotion, which obviously both are tough?
I think, well, it's hard to say in the Championship because it is such a tight league. It is, we say it every season, but it's such a tight league. But I think they'll get automatic.
Well done, Hardy. Right, from one end of the pyramid to the other, we'll look at Grimsby Town's league, the National League as it's going to be called. And there's talk of this being a three teams that get promoted, which we've been saying for a while now. That needs to happen because it's so difficult for teams to get that one automatic spot and then one playoff spot. So 3 teams promoted, Hardy. Does this give the likes of Town more chance? Are they licking the lips at the chance of this?
Well, I think it's the sort of thing where if you're in the conference or the National Leagues, it's now going to be called, you're thinking, why are there not 3 teams that go up? If you're at the bottom of League 2, you're thinking, we only want 2 teams going down. I can see the reasons behind only 2 teams going down from League 2 because it can mean potentially more clubs going out of business because of the finances and things when they drop down to non-league not being the same as they are in the Football League.
I think that's what the Chiefs, the people in charge of this have said, that dropping from the Football League is so detrimental to clubs and it can ruin clubs. They don't want that to happen. They only want that 2 places there because it is such a... But on the flip side, the clubs want to get back into it because it's so rewarding as well.
Definitely, yeah, and that's where they've got to try and strike that balance. We've seen teams that have gone down to non-league in the past that have gone out of business. We've seen Scarborough, Boston, Halifax, Chester. That's just a couple of teams off the top of my head who have gone down, and obviously there's no finances. Darlington, another. So it's a tricky one, and I think there needs to be a lot of common sense that goes into it. But as a Grimsby fan, you're going to be hoping there's going to be 3.
Obviously for League 2 clubs then, obviously they're going to see this on the flip side. How realistic is this, really, having 3 clubs drop out of the Football League? Can you see this in the next few years, or is this going to take a while for clubs to do clubs have to sign off on this? Well,
if there's going to be a vote, then you assuming the clubs in League 2 are going to vote against it, and you're assuming the clubs in the conference are going to vote for it possibly. So then that gives you a tie. Then where do you go from there? Because if you're in League 2, you're not going to want an extra relegation place putting in, regardless of whether at the start of the season whether you're destined for promotion or relegation. So I think it's a real tricky one, and I don't see how they're going to get around it. But there needs to be some sort of meeting, and I think it's going to take a longer time over the next couple of years, perhaps.
Would that make the National League, as it's going to be called, more competitive? Because if you like, the League 2 clubs are coming down. More quality sides, more league quality sides are going to be in the division, so to speak. One season you could have 6 former League 2 clubs in there. Will that only improve the division, the National League? Yeah,
you'd think that, but on the flip side again, going back to finances, it could mean more teams that are coming down and haven't got the money to survive. So it's a really tricky one, and you wonder how they're going to make that decision on whether they do it or not. So it might make the league stronger, definitely, but then again, it could also cause a lot of teams to have some financial trouble.
And of course, it'll be harder to get out of then as well, even harder than what it is now.
Yeah.
So we'll find out with that, Hardy. Sticking with Grimsby Town then, Craig Disley's signed a deal, John Paul Pittman signed a deal as we sit here right now. More players will follow, I'm sure. How much good news is this for the club?
I think it's fantastic, and hopefully other players can follow suit. I think it's brilliant for Pittman as well, after obviously the horrible situation at Wembley with the crucial penalty. I think it's brilliant to see him sign a new contract because he's been so good this season. I was watching a video earlier, of all his goals from across the season, and you just think he's seems such a good character to have at the club as well. And obviously Disley, captain, been there for years. He knows the league, he knows the club. Such a good player to have in there, influential.
So we'll move on then. We'll look at Greg's new stinker of a question this week for our challenge this week. So we'll move on to that now. Mailer, Huddleston, El Mohammadi, Corrin, Sagbo, Jelavic, Dawson, Turner, Shane, Ricketts, Guzan, you can see Hardy's attempt, as usual, in part 2. Now, moving on to this week's halftime teaser, it is who scored Grimsby's last goal in the Football League against Barnet in 2010. We'll see you in a few minutes. Welcome back. Before the break, I asked you who scored Grimsby's last Football League goal against Barnet in 2010, and it was Mark Hudson. So, round of applause if you got that at home. Well done. Still to come, we look at Scunthorpe United and North Ferriby's season review, and we reveal some predictions we made earlier in November. But first, this is Hardy's attempt at this week's challenge.
Myhill, Rossinia, Mailer, Quinn, Davis, Bruce, McShane, Turner, Proshvitz, Aluko, Corrin, Fryer,
and that's the last challenge of the series. Don't be too devastated. We'll move on, Hardy. We'll look at Mike Robbins. He's obviously wasted no time in signing 2 new players, Stephen Dawson and Jack King. Now, you know Jack, you've seen him play. You know, these lads coming into Scunthorpe United, can they make a difference to the football club?
I think so. It's interesting that he's gone for 2 centre midfielders. I saw Jack King a couple of seasons ago when he was playing for Preston against Scunthorpe, actually. He's a solid, combative midfielder, so maybe something that Robbins was looking for, a bit more steel in the middle of the pack. I believe Dawson's that sort of player as well, although I've not actually seen him play. So it's interesting to see why he's gone for 2 centre midfielders. Obviously, with the players that he's got in there already, he's got Bishop, Osborne, McSheffrey can play in there.
I was going to ask you that question then. Does that mean some of these lads are on their way out? You know, like some McSheffrey, you know, he's been influential over the last 6 months of their season. So what's the future of, of his?
It's interesting because McSheffrey's been brilliant, Bishop's been really good, and Osborne's been okay as well. So it'd be interesting to see what he does with those players and where Dawson and King are going to fit in around the rest of the team.
Does it give you a clue to what Robbins is maybe thinking for next season, the type of football he wants to play, bringing these players into, you know, a key area of the field?
Maybe he's looking at exploiting the wings. He's got 2 players in there that are going to absolutely work the socks off, win the ball back, so ball-winning midfielders, and then get the ball out to the wingers. The players like Adelakan, who we saw, was very good. He might utilise McSheffrey as a winger, and I see sometimes he's been playing Madden there, although the fans haven't been particularly happy with that at times because obviously he's a top scorer.
Goal scorer, yeah.
So maybe that's what he's looking at trying to do, to utilise the wingers more and have 2 players that are going to win the ball, retain it, and then get it out to those key players. Do
you think these lads, 'cause let's face it, it's going to be a tough season next season in League One, can these lads, you know, be consistent? Can they constantly push for a first team place? I
think they can, yeah, and obviously it's going to be, you're going to have to see who else they sign over the summer. I think Robbins is going to make some clever signings. I think he's going to, as I've said previously, use the loan market as well to maybe bring in some players. And I think that he can be looking to try and solidify that team and push towards the playoffs and nearer the promotion places this year. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Yeah, well, I was going to say that. What's next for Scunthorpe United? What's the aspirations next season? What do they go for? Is it You know, do they stay in League One again? Do they push for those playoffs that they were relatively close to?
It's a given they've got to do better than they have this season, because that is what Robins is going to be, marked on, what he's going to be compared against. He's got to be looking at going above that. Now, it was a tight league, so he's going to be aiming for more points, trying to push towards the playoffs. I think that is what the fans are expecting. I think the Scunthorpe fans are pretty encouraged. They're looking for Scunthorpe to get towards the playoffs.
Can they stay up again, yes or no?
Yes, definitely.
Yes. Great, right. We'll look at the fortunes of North Ferriby this season. Obviously, they won the FA Trophy. They finished a respectable 10th place. Mixed season, really, with success in the Cup, but the league wasn't as good as the previous season. What's next for Billy Heath's men?
The league was always going to take a back burner with the Cup run. That happens. We've seen it with Grimsby in the past as well, and other clubs. So I think for next season, it's going to depend on the summer. The finances of North Ferriby are still a little bit sort of shaky. We don't know what's going on. We don't know necessarily about all of the players at the moment and whether they're going to be staying. That's going to be crucial. If they can keep a similar side together and bring in some clever signings themselves, I think North Ferriby might be able to look towards the playoffs as they did obviously last season, narrowly missing out on promotion obviously.
I was going to ask you as well, would North Ferriby United, are they going to be content being a Conference North side? Or, do they want to get into the Conference Premier? Because obviously the club's owners have got different ideas now.
They've tasted that success at Wembley, so that is obviously an historic day in the club's history. It's absolutely massive. They're going to want more of that, but it all depends on what the chairman and the people at the top of North Ferriby are going to put into the club. We saw Les Hay was very passionate about North Ferriby. He really wanted the club to go places. So are the owners going to be like that for next season? Are they going to back the club and try and progress them on to the next level? It remains to be seen. Well,
it's all down to money really and what's available, because obviously players have left, players are coming in. Is the quality as good, if not better, or if not worse? That'll have a big say as well. So do you think they're going to pump money into the first team?
You'd hope so. You'd hope that there's going to be some money set aside to try and push towards that next level, because the last thing the fans want to see is a club stagnate and just stay at the same level, because they're going and watching every single week, and if the club's not showing any signs of progression, then where's the enjoyment, where's the entertainment for them? You wouldn't be happy as a fan watching a club who are just happy just staying where they are. Obviously they are a village club. They are that. They've got to Wembley. They've won at Wembley. They've shown that they can do it. So why not try and get on to the next level?
The league is competitive, the Conference North, but can we see more cup success from Ferriby, at that level? Because that is a cup that, again, obviously it is realistic to win because they've done that. Do you think they're looking at another cup run?
Well, as tough as it is, they'll want to retain their trophy. If they can do it, they're obviously going to push for that. So can you imagine another trip to Wembley? It'd be absolutely brilliant for them. It'd be absolutely amazing. Obviously, it's not a given, but it'd be absolutely fantastic for the club. And I think the fans would be looking at a better finish in the league as well. I think that was a little bit disappointing this year, but it was going to happen with the cup run.
It would always be tough with that cup run. So as you know, me and Hardy have been following this season very closely on this programme, and we've come up with our team of the season. We've got 3 players from Grimsby, Scunthorpe, Hull and North Ferriby United. Hardy, go first. Who's your team of the season?
Right, my team of the season, I've got my James McEwen in goal. Right back, I've got El Mohammadi. Centre backs, Pearson and Dawson. Left backs, Magnay. Midfielders, we've got St Just, Bishop, King, McSheffrey. And up top, we've got Madden and Denton. And my manager of the season has gone to Billy Heath for that success in the FA Trophy.
By the sounds of it, we've got a mixed team there. I've gone for Billy Heath, manager of the season. Only one that's achieved success, really. I've gone for McEwen, Magnay, Dawson, Boyce, Robertson. Been outstanding defenders for their own clubs, really. Jason St Just, he was phenomenal at Wembley. He made the difference, I think. McSheffrey, King and El Mohammadi across the midfield as well with them. And obviously Linnell we've gone for. And I've gone for Ryan Kendall up top because he made such a difference at Wembley as well.
Interesting. So there's some similarities in there.
There is some key players in there that if these clubs can keep hold of them or do their best, then they'll go on with that. Highlight of the season, out of the 4 clubs, Hardy, who do you think that should go to? Is it obvious?
North Ferriby's win. It's got to be. It's got to be. Absolutely massive in the club's history. So Billy Heath and North Ferriby have to take that accolade, I think.
I have to agree. We know we're the biggest fans for North Ferriby for a while. Can these players, have a similar season? Can they live up to that? Because obviously we've gone for McEwen in goal, still under contract for Grimsby. Can he go on and have another great season?
Grimsby fans will be hoping so. He won so many points for the club this season. Sometimes people don't give goalkeepers maybe the credit they deserve. He has won so many points for Grimsby this season, so you're hoping so. And obviously he's got that other year, which is so important for Grimsby Town. I actually think both of our teams would do decent if they were to pit the wits in in a league above. I think
give them a good pre-season, and
without a doubt.
they might crack on with that. Other key players like McSheffrey we mentioned might be getting out of the first team. Dawson for Hull City, you said he's staying there. Can he have another good season, help him get promoted again?
He's been one of the better players, I think, this season. He's always put in 100%, and he's reasonably reliable. It's a shame about some of the other players who played at the back with him.
Thank you, Hardy. Right, we'll move on to our predictions. Let's just remind ourselves of the moment, myself, Hardy and Pete Allison, of the moment we made these predictions.
Thanks very much, guys. So our researcher Greg got us to do another little challenge today. He asked us to predict the Premier League and FA Cup winners. Pete, being the lucky man he is our guest today, so he has also predicted it with us. We're going to get him back on the show at the end of the season to see how we've done. This is sort of Dynamo-esque. We're going to see how good our magician skills are, as we say. So Greg is going to come and collect them from us, and we're going to pop them in our envelope. There we go, we're sealing it.
Yeah, with a kiss.
With a kiss, as always, Tom.
You feeling confident, Pete? Very.
So I've got West Brom to win the league. What about you, Reid?
West Ham.
West Ham?
Yeah.
What about you, Pete?
It's got to be Hull City.
Hull City?
Yeah.
I think Hull might be going down, possibly.
No, they're on the way up.
FA Cup. FA Cup. I'm going with Scunthorpe. So.
So the predictions we made were Premier League winners and FA Cup winners. Obviously, the Premier League winners have been decided. FA Cup winners this weekend. Hardy.
Drum roll, please.
I don't know.
Remember what I put anyway. We've got Premier League, Chelsea. I got that one right. FA Cup, Man City.
Ooh, interesting. I don't think you'd go for that. Right, here's mine. As predicted, Premier League winner Chelsea, FA Cup winner Liverpool.
All right.
Who nearly made it to the final. I was just off. So now, on behalf of Pete Allison, we will reveal Pete's. Greg is on hand. Can I have Pete's predictions, please, Greg? Don't stop. Thank you very much. Thank you, Greg. Right, just before we go, we'll check out Pete's predictions. Let's see how right Pete was.
I reckon he's done it.
Premier League, Chelsea, FA Cup, Man City.
I went the same as me.
So we all got the Premier League winner, but no one got the FA Cup right. Sadly, that's all we've got time for. That is the last in the series. We will hopefully see you again for the new season. And of course, over the summer, you can contact us on Twitter at OTB Extra. We are on Facebook as well, or you can email onthebench@estuary.tv. A huge thank you to Thomas Hardy for the series.
Thank you very much, Reidy. It's been very enjoyable.
Thank you. And obviously to the rest of the team here at On The Bench Extra. So until next time, we'll see you. Have a good summer.